So I trained all the 4 Gaganyaan astronauts, and also I got the privilege to be the first moderator in this country to connect our Indian astronaut, Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla, with the Indian students while he was operating on board ISS. So that's about it. And I think it's a very happy news, glad news for all of us. Ham radio has got the highest recognition even in India now, other than the HamSat satellite way back in the year 2005. So now coming to my topic, this is my presentation which I ran through for about 1.5 hours, but the time given here is only for about 30 minutes. I'll try to make it as simple and as short as possible. So what is the relevance for a radio ham for the space? This is a big question everyone asks, because we have been there almost for a century now, ham radio, as long as it's old as a radio itself. And why all of a sudden, or maybe why the space domain comes into for amateur radio activities? So for one reason, we all know that. So when we use VHF and UHF, so wherein the range is very limited compared to HF. So only way is through the artificial repeaters called satellites. And second one is, amateurs are always very inquisitive. We want to learn something. So this is a new dimension in the amateur radio. That's about the space domain. So this gives an opportunity for us to learn something about the space. So here some of you are there, particularly few of you are very serious operators on satellites. And so just let me go through. This is my standard module for the students where I teach about the space communication. So first thing is, as a step 1, to locate and track the satellite's position in space in real time. And step 2 is to predict the path timings over a given place. And step 3 is to receive telemetry and payload data in the real time, and of course to decode it. So we all know that any satellite will have 2 channels. One is the telemetry, another one is the payload. So now as amateurs, we are really so fortunate to see that most of the amateurs who are on to satellite, we use payload data as well as we use the telemetry. So we are allowed to receive all this. And mainly from the other than the geostationary satellite. See, any satellite other than the geostationary, even including geosynchronous, needs to be tracked. So we are interested only in the low Earth orbit satellites. Of course, almost all the satellites which have been going into the space carrying the amateur radio payloads are using amateur radio frequencies. They are on mostly in low Earth orbits, except only one satellite, that is Q100, which is in geostationary. So generally what I do, I just teach them to tell them to acquaint a common person how simple, practical and inexpensive is to do all these activities from their home. So generally this module is for the school students. So real-time tracking, learning orbital mechanics as a fun. So what is the satellite tracking? This itself is a very big science. So wherein the position or the flight progress of an orbiting object is monitored. So every satellite goes around the Earth, dividing the Earth into 2 equal parts, and in the orbital plane, the orbit, it's a closed repetitive path wherein we monitor the flight progress. So it indicates, it just tells us in which direction the satellite is heading, with what velocity and all that. So once we go into this, there is a scope, there is opportunity that one get a lot of opportunity to learn about the space science, particularly the orbital mechanics. So any software, see all this we are using, doing it with the help of the software, because otherwise it's a little bit difficult to track the satellites using the mathematical models, and maybe by mathematically calculating we can do it, but it's a time consuming. But with the advent of the software, it has become very simple. Just with the click of a button, we can just tell where the satellite is in its position, and we can even predict when it is going to come over a given location. So that is what we call as a path predictions. So why, how, what, who, all this. So why these space objects needs to be tracked? As per the Newton's law, we all know that. As per the Newton's first law, a particular object in a particular position should continue to be in the same state unless otherwise it's being disturbed by any unequal external force. But this is not the case even in the space. There are disturbing forces, perturbations to a small extent. So these objects, when you put it in a particular altitude and with a particular direction and with a particular inclination, they tend to change. due to so many factors called external forces even in the space. One is the gravitational pull of the Earth, solar pressure, aerodynamic drag, and of course intentional maneuvering, particularly for the live satellites, particularly the human space program like ISS, CSS, and other objects. So we have to avoid it. So what we do, generally, we maneuver, either raise the orbit or lower the orbit. Most of the cases, we just raise the orbit by a few kilometers. So due to this, the orbit will tend to change. So these objects then needs to be continuously monitored. So as I told you, particularly those satellites and space objects which are not stationary. So actually no object in the space can be stationary as per the Newton's law. But it appears to be stationary, the ones which are put over the geostationary orbit, that is about 36,000 kilometers from the surface of the Earth over the equator. And we see that the rotational velocity of the satellite and the rotational velocity of the Earth are synchronized, and it appears to be stationary. That means from a given location on the Earth, the latitude and longitude on the ground track will not change. It will remain constant. Whereas for the other than anything, or the orbits, other than the geostationary, the latitude and the longitude will continually keep changing. So that's the reason we track these objects. And of course, we need to know the correct location in its orbit and follow the ground track and determine its position, velocity at every time. So why the satellites needs to be tracked? As a users, we are interested only at the payload data. For example, if it's a transponder, of course we need to know if you are going to use the transponder for communication purposes using either VHF or UHF for uplink and downlink. And these objects, for example ISS, and there are so many more than about a dozen satellites. So these satellites needs to be tracked if you are really going to use the satellite for the communication purposes. But as a satellite builders and operators and designers, we need to track the satellites for the health analysis. These objects, what we send into space, needs to be monitored, controlled 24/7, 365 days till it dies in the space. So of course, system and payload control, and there are so many other systems. So we have to control. For that sake, we have to track it. And more than anything now, the collision avoidance. Now we know that the low Earth orbit is completely polluted, and particularly it is becoming very difficult for any manned missions. So we know shortly India is also going to have our own Bharatiya Antarik Station, and also our Gaganyaan human space program is also up. Maybe another 2 years down, our own Indian astronauts, already they are waiting, 4 astronauts we have selected from Indian Air Force, and they are group captains and also test pilots. So I think most of you are aware, all group captains. One is Subhanshu Shukla, another one is Angad Pratap, and Ajit Krishnan and Balakrishnan Nair. So all 4 are from Air Force, and they are undergoing training and they are ready for the flight. So Gaganyaan vehicle is also getting ready, and by 2034 India is aiming to have our own Bharatiya Antarik Station, and already we have made the proposal from our club station that we have ISRO's Upagraha Amateur Radio Club BU2URC. We have made a proposal, and as I told you already, this proposal has been accepted, and already the ham radio has made one of the training module for the astronauts. And apart from that, ham radio is also going to be there on all the Gaganyaan vehicles and also on the Bharatiya Antarik Station. And so it's very simple, anyone can learn. All that one needs is interest, and then they have to have involvement and of course little bit of determination and patience. With this, anyone can learn. It's not a rocket science, learning tracking satellites and getting through the satellites. So all that, let's see what is required. Technical requirements, a PC and a computer program. Of course the date and time. When we say time, it has to be very accurate, maybe to a few seconds. And then location details of the observer, and then a set of orbital parameters also called Kepler elements. So requirement 1, computer program. There are more than about 2 dozen softwares freely available, and all that. So what it does is the computer tracking, the satellite tracking software, it computes the satellite's position, taking its velocities using mathematical model of the orbit by reading the Keplerian. So unless we feed the latest Keplerian element, so these softwares cannot predict that model. So it predicts the position of the satellites, and it provides the graphical or tabular orbital prediction. So in simple, if I want to just tell, these softwares tells you when and where to look out for the satellite. So when is time, where is the angles. that is what is the azimuth and elevation angles. That's all. So once if you have this, you can have the particular satellite coming in your view. So more accurate inputs, more accurate output. So various computer programs. We have many computer programs, but Orbitron is the one which is very, very straightforward, very simple and straightforward, very simple for the beginners to learn. But apart from that, there are so many other softwares also. And input, already I told you, the second input is observer location details in terms of latitude and longitude, and of course altitude as well. And this is the very important input, the third one, orbital parameters, which is also called Kepler elements. There are about a set of 6 orbital parameters, very essential to compute any celestial body's position. So here I have mentioned 7, including the epoch time. So otherwise, the inclination, so all of them are mainly numbers, near numbers or angles. So once if you go into that, you will learn what is everything like inclination, the run and argument of perigee, mean elongation, mean motion, everything. So it's not, as I told you, a very big rocket science. I need not to scare anyone by telling all those scary words and all that. It's simple, but if you have interest, we can really learn. So, but these orbital parameters, without this, no tracking software is going to work. So this is very, very important, and this is mainly done by an agency called NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Program, and they actually shared this data with us free of cost. So I'll just go through because I've been just given only 30 minutes of time. So we get this 2-line element, the orbital parameters in a format called 2-line elements. All these magical parameters are stuck into 2 lines, and this is the one format which most of the softwares can understand. And of course there is another way also called state vectors, but like NASA and others, of course ISRO also we use state vectors format, but for amateur work TLE is well suited. So this is how the 2-line elements looks like. You can see the first line and the second line in the blue, and all the required orbital parameters are stuck into this magical line, 2-line elements. So the output will be like this, like maybe a 3D, and maybe like this, Mercator position, like, so this is a very old the screenshot which I've taken of ISS while it was over my hometown, that is my home shack, that is Bangalore. And different, this is N2IO. I think most of you are aware there is a website, a very interesting website, N2IO. It's a ham, American ham is maintaining it. So there also we can get, this is the time tag path, the ground track of the satellite, ISS of course. This is another projection, very, very interesting. This is called the radar projection. And of course we have alternate solutions also. We have internet. So there are so many websites which gives, even there are Android apps which predicts and tells you, like ISS detector, heavens above. There are so many other apps, Android apps as well. Really sorry, I have to really run through. So all that what one needs to know is only 2 angles. See, if you want to identify an object in the space, only 2 angles are required. One is called the azimuth angle, and another one is the elevation angle. I think most of us are very, very aware because many of us, even on the terrestrial work, working on HF, we have the rotators and we know what is the azimuth, so it's not a big deal to know that, and elevation. So this is what we call as a look angles. So when and where to look for that? When is the time and where is the look angles? And these, as I told you, other than the geostationary, for example, many of you are there on Q100. For a given location on the Earth, the ground track, latitude and longitude will never change for that location. But whereas the other satellites, anything other than this orbit, the latitude and longitude on the ground track will continuously vary, keep changing it. So that's the reason we need to change, track this, including the geosynchronous, because those geosynchronous satellites also put over the equator at an altitude of 36,000 kilometers. But it is going to make a small inclination with reference to the equator, maybe about 5 degrees or up to maximum 19. For example, we have our NAVIC satellites, our Indian GPS system. So we have about 4 satellites on geosynchronous and 3 on the geostationary. So these geosynchronous satellites also, since it's maintaining a small inclination of about 19 degrees, we need to track that. So it doesn't mean that geosynchronous and geostationary are the same. geostationary is the only one which is really appears to be stationary, though these objects travel at a velocity of about 3.2 kilometers per second, whereas typically the lower orbit satellites, anywhere ranging from 400 to 1200 kilometers, they travel at a velocity of about 7.6 kilometers per second. So this is the called a horizontal coordinate system, which we call as a azimuth angle. If you just draw a horizontal circle on the Earth, and if you just mark it 360 degrees starting from 0 and pointing towards north, that is called the, so when you stretch your hands the 90 degrees apart, that is the east, and it indicates about 90 degrees, and my back will be looking at the south, which we call, mark it as 180 degrees, and the west 270 degrees, and again the north is 360. So it's so simple that you can learn how to locate an object in the azimuth angle. And elevation is, though it's a hemisphere, we have 180 degrees, but generally we use only 90 degrees and with a particular direction, referring the particular direction. In this case, direction, we can tell about the azimuth angle and keep the changing the elevation angle. So elevation angles remains from 0 to 90, whereas azimuth is 0 to 360. So this is the only two things one has to learn. So of course, I used to give a demo of receiving satellite signals. We know different types of communications, and this always, here we are just emphasizing more on space communication. Of course, that is also a wireless system. So if you want to pursue space communication, so probably what the perception is, everybody thinks that we need to have a 32-meter dish antenna in our backyard, and maybe a full room full of equipments, and maybe 40 to 50 people sitting in the room and doing all this. No, it's not that way. So we can do this way. Most of us we are doing here. Even there were many antennas here, and so we use this very simple way, even using a simple quarter wave monopole antenna, and we can get onto the satellites. So it all depends upon the location, the power output, and all that. So because most of us are from our fraternity, we all know what is about communication. So yet the satellite communication could be pursued as simple as this. So practical approach, we know that. So one-way communication, having a simple antenna and one SDR receiver, so we can receive the signals from the space. And we know that RTL SDR these days, that means most of us have started using it. It covers from 24 megahertz to 1700 megahertz, all mode, anywhere, anytime. So it's a simple plug-in tool. So having that, even we can go down to HF also on direct sampling mode. And so using this SDR receivers, obviously no license is required to receive. So anyone interested, maybe your children or anyone, students, they can learn how they can get onto the satellite modes. So option one-way communication, all that what we need is a software running and a small piece of hardware called antenna and a receiver. It could be any conventional receiver or even SDR. So we know that there are so many types of antennas, and this is a software defined radio SDR RTL. And there are many applications. By just using RTL, one can do more than about 2 to 3 dozens of work. So this is the one I used to tell, because the question generally the students ask me, what is that they're going to receive? So of course, HAM's voice through the amateur radio satellites, because we know a lot of people now the activity in India has become really good. So now this is the time that we are thinking we want to go for another satellite like HAMSat, what we had in the year 2005. It was a solid rock satellite, though it was 40 kgs, but we can come down. Even the same thing now we can make it within about 5 kgs mass. So that is a possible. We are working on that, and also now we are working from our club side. We are working to have satellite on a higher altitude orbits, so that we are looking at something which can provide a visibility of about more than 3 hours. So we are looking at that options. So of course, decoding telemetry, this is also very interesting. Just we are trying, always, amateurs are very inquisitive. And we try to receive to this so weak signal. Just imagine a source, for example, ISS nominal orbit is about 400 kilometers. But when it rises on the horizon, the range from the observer, the antenna to the satellite is about 2,400 kilometers. Just imagine we are attempting to receive a signal which is about 2,400 kilometers, and for satellites like NOVA and Meteor, which are at 800 kilometers, the range when it rises and when it sets, it is about 3,300 kilometers. Just imagine, we struggle on the ground, on the terrestrial mode, even to receive, maybe from Bangalore, if I want to receive FM Chennai, it's impossible. But we are trying to receive. And the power output from these birds, maximum 5 watts. Maximum 5 watts of signal. So just imagine. So this is what the amateurs who are on the satellites, we try to work. And next speaker, I'll just take another 5 minutes. I started at 4:05. I will finish it at 4:35. Thank you. So this is, and unfortunately those who are monitoring the NOVA satellites for the real-time weather images, NOVA recently decommissioned all the 3 satellites, NOVA 15, 18 and 19. It's a very unfortunate. We really lost 3 beautiful satellites, but of course we have the 2 Russian satellites available, Meteor M23 and M24, but they are much pretty, high resolution, 3 times that of the sharper images than the NOVA. So of course, requirement to receive real-time weather images from NOVA and Meteor satellites, all that you need a simple antenna. Even sir, another 2 minutes, I'll hand over to you, Mr. Sunil. So this is the receive setup. Space segment, absolutely we don't need to spend any money. Already satellites are there, somebody else is making. And these days, a lot of students, engineering students are making small satellites. Even high school students are making satellites, beautiful satellites. And a lot of, even the competitions, activities are happening. They are sending SSTV images, and even they are conducting quiz using satellites now. So the activity in India now is really high, and the ground setup, a simple antenna, even a monopole or a V antenna, horizontal V, dipole, or even a quadripolar helix. And then of course comes to this radio, SDR, RTL SDR, which is available for about $35. And then existing computer, all that one needs, only this much. So of course this is my station, my weather station particularly. So these are all some of the images which I have received from NOVA. It's quite old. Just imagine if you can have this. It's not downloaded from internet or from meteorological IMD websites. It's all received from the satellites directly. So of course now I don't know how many of you are aware of this particular satellite called SATDEM. One single software can do all the 3 functions. It can track the satellites, it can receive the signals, and it can also decode. It can decode the signals for about more than 3 dozen satellites. It's a fantastic piece of software, SATDEM. If some of you haven't tried, please try this. It's a wonderful piece of software. And there was one small video. Can I just play it, sir? The next speaker, is that you? Just can I take 1 minute? Just. Maybe I'll just run through this. You can close it, then a small video you can. Just for 1 minute. So these are all optional equipments, not necessary. Just by going into space domain, see, we can do a lot of things what generally the space agency also do. For example, post-launch operations by any space agency, whether ISRO, NASA, or anyone, they'll be doing all this, tracking, determining location, everything they will be doing as an agency, as a satellite builders. But as an individual, as a hobbyist, we can also do almost everything except those marked as red. So we can also track, we can also determine location, telemetry, system monitoring. Even many times, amateurs are also authorized to command some satellites. So we get to do all this. So in no way we are much different from any of the satellite space agencies. Maybe their satellites will be little big and they'll be using all big setups. But for us, whether it is a 450-ton ISS or a 1 kg weighing a 1U satellite, for us the satellite is the same. because it follows the fundamental, basic, everything the same. So, as a bottom line, I would like to conclude like this. The hobby of amateur satellite communication is a fun and a challenge packed with science. And it's a underground facet of observational astronomy, and this hobby is going to, particularly the hobby of satellite communication, sure to induce some scientific interest among students and of course all of us, and sure to provide an insight into orbital mechanics, rocket propulsion, space physics and everything. So when you enter to in some domain, definitely we'll be interested to learn all this. So as a hobbyist, one can develop levels of scientific and technical knowledge from the lowest level, that's what we call as an armchair level, and to the most advanced level, like having any research oriented goals in the mind. So thank you, and thank you very much for giving very patient listening. And within shortest time, I took about 35 minutes. So there's one small video closed. So you can just see how Nova signals I used to receive it. Just close the door. See, this is Meteor M23 and the modulation QPSK. And this particular software, so volume, okay, of course, no, this will not have any sound. This is digital, I'll just go to that one. All these three are from Meteor M23. You can just see I get about nearly 18 dB to 20 dB with my very simple antenna what I have. So with this, I'd like to say thank you very much. Thanks the organizers, Vadakara HAM Fest, particularly Santosh for giving this opportunity. And though I had a very short time to interact with you, I think I made my point. If you have any doubts or anything, so you can feel free to ask me after the session. I'll hand over the mic to Sunil. So thank you very much. I wish everyone a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. It was a very informative session, which is going to help hams like this. And we have to upgrade and learn the futuristic innovation which is happening in the world. Thank you so much. Now I call upon Mr. Sunil, Victor Uniform 2, Sierra Whiskey X-Ray. He'll be walking us through AI for the ham radio. Please, Mr. Sunil, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My handle is Sunil, and call sign View to Sierra Whiskey X-Ray. Sometimes I'm active in the mornings, and some other people know me. So I hold a PhD from IIT Bombay, especially related to the AI technologies, and I would like to introduce you to this technology of artificial intelligence, which is making inroads into many areas of our life, and how it is going to affect our hobby. Probably in the near future, a lot of new things will come up, a lot of new technologies will come up, and making some of the older ones obsolete. So let us begin with some small picture that I will show you here. See, if you look at this picture on the screen, which one is the real one? So these days this is very common, but sometime back, maybe 2-3 years back, this was not very common. It is very easy to fabricate, it is very easy to build unknown things, clone your voice. So there are a lot of possibilities for ham radio also. So what I'm going to do is, I will just try to explain what exactly is the technology that lies behind, not how to use ChatGPT or Gemini. What I'm going to try to explain to a layman, what exactly is the technology that drives this. So people have been working on AI research and working with a lot of things for quite some time. And when people wanted to emulate brain using computers, they looked at our own brain. See, our brain is wired like this. See, we have a beautiful mechanism inside our head. It is being wired to 5 different senses. If you can see, you can hear, you can see, watch, touch, taste, etc. So this is how our human brain is wired. And from these senses, there are some connecting wires which leads to our inside our brain. It's called our nervous system. And then inside our brain, which computes a lot of things. We can do a lot of things in parallel. So let's see. This particular brain was evolved over a very long time. It's not that it was not built over one day, but it has been evolving for a long time, and we are trying to emulate that brain with computers. So let's see. There was a long path of evolution. So we started off, our human life started off as a single cell thing, and now we have reached different kinds of after evolution. See, our Homo sapiens is somewhat like this. So we are all in the last stage here. So this is the current stage in which we are started. So in fact, we human beings were a very small clan somewhere in Africa, say 70,000-80,000 years ago. And from there we started off due to some reason, and we conquered the earth due to our brains. We have a very beautiful brain. So in the course of this 70,000 years of human conquest, we accumulated a lot of knowledge from, in the sense that, see, we were foragers, we were going around and collecting things and eating, From there we started off. We built books. We built dams. Civil engineering came. Lot of science things came. And now, in the last century, we had all these things. Where our hobby lies somewhere here in the spectrum. Last century, we had radios, TVs, etc. And in the current century, people have moved further to computers, mobile phones, etc. And we are there right now. Now, this need to continue. Next, what will be next? So human brains, as people started thinking when we invented computers, etc., whether we can emulate all these functions of human brain with some kind of computers. So the problem here is that our human brain is so complex and so capable. We have a lot of capabilities which is not easy to emulate with computers. So there's a small echo here, right? You can hear some echo. Yeah, that's because why? Probably the mic. Shall I move to this side? Yeah, probably that will be a better idea. This is okay right now. Now, see, human has a wonderful capability of learning. So that's why you are all sitting here and listening to me. We can reason. We can reason in the sense that if somebody opens that door, I will immediately look at them and oh, this fellow is coming, this is called sign. That immediately comes to my mind. That kind of reasoning we have. Also, we can perceive things. So this is a hall, there's an antenna, there are a couple of people talking in the back. Things like that perception thing is there for us. Also, we understand language, we have feelings, we have a lot of things. So it is not easy to incorporate everything into computers, but people have been trying to do research on incorporating some of these things into computers. See, we started off somewhere in 1956, and now in 2026, say 70 years later, we have partially conquered 2 things out of the 5 things that I mentioned. One is speech as well as associated text to speech to text, these kind of things have been almost, sorry, 90%, still there are some more things to go, but computers can very well understand speech, very well understand things related to text to speech, language, etc. That's why you have very easy translation kind of thing these days, speech synthesis, voice cloning, etc. Now, coming to the other thing, so this is again coming, right? Is it? Oh, okay. So there is something wrong. So you can see this. Now, people say when we did research for this, say when we were doing article, then now this speaker is making problem. You can hear, no? Yeah, but I think I have a.
Go ahead. It's seeing your monitor signal. No, you continue.
Oh, it's up. Now, see, our brain has 2 different kinds of capabilities. One is the called discriminative capability. See, I can suddenly find out somebody, say, Hello Hotel Charlie sitting there, or somebody sitting here, and immediately understand this. This is called a discriminative capability of our brain. You can distinguish things. So initial research that people did was on this kind of discriminative AI models, so that you can distinguish between things. That is why this research has progressed so good, so that you can just open your phone and look at it, the phone opens automatically. It can recognize you. So this discriminative kind of AI models have somewhat matured. That is why the AI models can recognize things, distinguish people, etc. And our brain has another capability, it's called a creative capability. So you can create things. You can think of, something unknown to you. For example, if I ask you to take a sheet of paper right now and ask you to draw the picture of a cat, cute cat. So what will you do? Your creative capability of your brain will come into play, and you will think of all the cats you have seen in your, say, 30, 40 years of life. You have seen probably a lot of things. So using those ideas, you can draw a cat. You will draw something, a whisker, you will draw something like that, a cat will be there. So, but the problem is that the cat this gentleman draws will not be same as that of the other one. So each one has their own creative capability. Now recently, see, people have started research into how to generate things like that. That's why you have all these, the Gemini kind of thing, Gemini ChatGPT. It can synthesize and build things. That's called a generative AI. So these are the two kinds of artificial intelligence models that we have right now. Now let's go ahead a little bit. Now, both these kind of models are more based on our own brain, how our brain learns and how we work on it. So let us look at it. So when you are introduced to something new, say a new person, so somebody will scroll up and so this is Mr. X and he is so and so. Your brain will look at the person and will perceive or understand some of his features, and that will be stored in your brain. So human beings learn from features. See, different multiple features you are seeing that we have seen. So let us look at somewhat and a concrete example. So let's take a toy example of how humans learn, and we will convert that way. See, for example, when my daughter was a very young kid, I used to take her around and show things. So this today, I'm going to take her and show just two things. One is a set of cars, another is a set of buses. So I will show her, see, these are some of the cars you can look at in the road. See, look at this, this looks like a sedan, this is like this, and I say that SUV, things like that I will say. These are different cars you will see. Similarly, I will show her models of all the kind of buses you will see. This looks to be transport bus, this looks like a KSRTC bus or local commute bus, etc. So the kid will learn all the features of this stuff into the brain. So those features, if I show her this, which she has never seen, she will immediately recognize this as a bus, just because all those features that she has learned from the other thing is being applied. So this is how you discriminate things. You look at features of various things and learn. So this is a famous incident that happened in Kerala some time back. And if you guys know what it is, right? So what is it? A bus inside some kind of a waterfall or water thing. Now, for the computers, it's a very difficult thing because see, when computer sees this, it is not seeing the full thing. Half of this is gone. So it has to reconstruct or find out what is there underneath. So it's not but for a kid it is very easy. A kid can very easily say that this is a bus fallen into this water, and they will collide. The water she has seen, bus is there, they can collide and make things. It's a difficult problem for this. So we can even recognize this. Kid will recognize, but this is a difficult thing for computers. Now let's see. So if you make some errors, the kid, I didn't see this. So now the kid is seeing this. This looks like half a bus, half a car. So the kid will think of all the cars he has seen, all the buses he has seen, then she will make an intelligent decision. Say, this looks like some 50% or 60% looks like a bus. Then 40% looks like a car. So she will think and say, okay, this is a bus. Now the parents will come in the picture. We'll say, no, this is not a car, this is not a bus, this is an old kind of bus that used to be there, but this is no longer. So the kid is corrected. So we will say that. So our own learning cycle is somewhat like this. So this we are going to convert directly to AI. So we will train people, we will validate with unknowns, then we will retrain if it makes an error. So this is what we have to do for the computers to learn. So it's exactly the same thing we are doing. Now let's see how the kid learned. He looked at various features on the face, on the car, on the wheels, etc. And then, for example, if you see a new person, I will be looking at these kind of points. So, pardon? I'm sorry, somebody else said something. So, we'll look at all these points on the face, and we will have some kind of storage in our brain. Okay, this person has a bald head, this person has a squint eyes, something like that. We will be keeping it in our brain. the problem is that now the same thing computers have to do. Computers cannot think like that. A squint is there. How will you represent that? Or the other one has bald-headed feet, like this gentleman. There's no hair. How the computer will represent that? For that you need this kind of measurements. You will make from the face or the whatever thing you are looking at, you will make into numbers. These numbers we are going to use. We will be using these numbers to process. So whatever thing you process on AI or whatever with computer, you have to come to be numbers. So since some of for the face recognition program, we will be using some of this kind of stuff. See these measurements. Maybe we will look at this length, this length like that. We will store in a series of numbers. And when you look at a person's picture, from the picture you get all the measurements. We have a set of numbers. Say next time when you see that person, you will compare with all those numbers and see whether this guy is that. And now there are problems. Okay, let's go ahead a little bit. So, pardon? Somebody's speaking. Now, see, let us make it a little bit more concrete. So, how the AI and the computers can recognize things. For that, see, we looked at the car and bus problem for the kid. The kid was looking at the car, kid was looking at the bus. So, we will force the computers to look at the car and look at the bus. We'll use a camera and or something, and we'll ask computers to see some of the features of the car. So what are the features of a car? Car has certain weight, certain number of tires, number of doors, etc. So I am just putting up some of the possible kind of features that you can represent. So this is a toy example, not an actual one, just to make things, people understand what exactly. So I am just going to take 3-4 features. Number of wheels for both car and as well as bus. Number of doors, number of size, etc. So I will go to the road. So I'm going to write an AI algorithm which will recognize between car and bus. So I will look at the cars parked outside. Alright, first one is an Alto. It has a weight of 700. Number of doors is this one. I need to make this data. So this is a typical feature set. So this particular row is a particular set of features or of a particular Alto car. Then you have another one, i10, Honda City, Tata Nano, all those have some of these features. So, but they are more or less similar. So let's look at the same case of bus. Buses will be bigger. They will have more space. So those features will be something different. Now, see, I have taken only just 3 features, but in practice we will be taking 1,000 features or lot of things. It's not a number 1 or 2 to make things simple. That I have done this. Now let's go ahead. Now we have 3 things: the weight, size, wheel. We will assume that they are not some independent kind of thing. They are not connected thing. Okay? We are going to represent them in some kind of a map or you know about these x, y, z axis and all. We have studied it. Since this is a very odd simplification, just to make things clear. So let's see, we are going to represent those numbers on x-axis. Say size will be on x-axis, wheels will be on the other axis, and the other things will be on the third axis. So we will look at all the cars, first row of the cars column. So we will mark all the cars, say, on the x-axis, the Alto has, say, 4, 5, 3. So somewhere here, the car will come, okay, somewhere there the car will come. So one car will be somewhere here. The second car will have slightly different, but it will appear somewhere here. Its features will appear somewhere here. Similarly, the bus also will appear somewhere here. Now, say this is a very simplified example, not mathematically correct also. I know it very well, but just to make you get the feel of it. Now, our number, these are all numbers, nothing else. Cars, these points that I have marked up, derived from some numbers which we marked in the column. Now you can split that entire 3D space into 2. Just see one side of, we draw a plane like this, or here, even here, you draw a plane like this. One side is all your cars, the other side is all your buses. So if you can find out this kind of a proper plane which separates these two. So every new car or every new bus will be either on the this side or other side of this particular plane. So we have taken those numbers of the new car and we will mark it somewhere else, so it will appear here. So the new bus will appear on the other side. So if you know this plate or this thing which separates these two things, using those numbers, we can very easily find out which is which. This is a very simple example. So the AI algorithms or models, they try to find out this kind of division between things in types of numbers. But here we have just two things. But in practice, you will have hundreds of things. So you will have to split up into multiple things. So car will here, the other thing will be here. It's a complex problem, but I have just simplified so that people can understand. Now probably it is, we don't know which is the best plane separating this also. That's all the other problem. So we can split it like this or split like this. So this side it can happen, this side, we don't know the best thing. So there are ambiguity also. So let's see. Now, since we have all these things happening, what we have is just a set of numbers. We need to find all these planes, this separation from all this data. So for that, I will also show another example with my daughter, how the computers will try to find out the best plane that separates these two. So for example, I have pictures of cats and dogs in a box with me. See, there are several pictures of cats and dogs. So I'm going to place them one by one on my table. One by one. And I will ask my daughter to draw a line which separates these two. So the first thing, I have just put two pictures, one cat and one dog on the table. And I am asking her to draw a line between them. So definitely, she can draw something like this. So she can even draw the other way also. Now, okay, that's fine. Then I will ask her, I am going to put one more picture. So your the line separation is wrong. I am going to put one more picture. So I will put something like this. So what happened? Her picture is wrong. One side all cats, one side all dogs. That is has to be the thing. Now I put something like this. So I'll ask her, okay, you can have a choice. You can again redraw. So she will redraw something like this. So one side everything cat, one side everything dogs. So again, I will put one more. So again she's wrong. So this I'll put data. I'll ask the computer to draw this. It will make error. I'll retry. This goes on like that until it finds out something like this. So all the cats will be somewhere here. So that I cannot put any more outside this. So until that it can go on. This is the way this training kind of things happens in computer. That is why training. This is the idea behind it. Training a model. Now, see, we will in practice we will have machine learning models which will separate out things like this. So there will be a lot of things like this, a lot of mechanisms like this, which will bring out a proper result. Now let's see. So these are all things that we try to teach people. Now you don't need all these things to use it. What you get is that you generally get a model or a mechanism which split these two, just like that. That is known as a model, which is put into say a computer, and this is a black box for you. There's no need for using ChatGPT or whatever. You don't need anything, but you know that there is a model which will recognize these things. So generally, this is how people represent models. Now, this is a mathematical function we will skip. Now, this model has to learn all these kind of things. It's not easy thing. It's not an easy task to represent numbers, and from numbers you will find out this thing. So again, in order to build such models, people looked into the human brain. Human brain is going to be emulated into computers to build such models. So models are mathematical entities which will distinguish or do some kind of a task. So inside our brain, the human brain does is, you see, something called a neural network. There's something called a neuron. Some 87 billion neurons are there in your head. They are connected, and see, whenever you see something, or if you perceive or you do feel, these neurons interact and make a result, some kind of result. So instead of for that, so you see similarly, see when you see something or interact with something, the connections between neurons are disturbed. Or these neurons are where your data is stored, or your experiences, your memory are stored. So what we did was we looked at into the same brain, and we tried to build artificial neurons, artificial neural networks inside computers. They are just mathematical functions, not biological things. They are mathematical functions which will give, when given a data, given somebody's face, it will say that is X, Y, Z. Given another person say, it will say somebody else. So this kind of mathematical things we built using something called artificial neurons. Artificial neurons, they are just work like normal neurons, normal human brain neurons, but they are inside computers, some kind of computer structure. They take all inputs, say all that I showed you all the features like facial features, they are taken and they will processed, and finally they will give a final results. This kind of things we do. So we have a huge number of layers like artificial neurons connected like this. So for example, the typical thing that we do in the AI beginners class, we will ask people to build a AI model which can recognize numbers. So we will give a handwritten number. Say it will be say partition to pixels. Say 784 pixels will be there. These are given, and then we will be asked to find out which is the best matching thing. So we will train such kind of a network, and such models are now easily available. See, these are some of the. Yeah, so in order to understand the idea, see this is the kind of things you will do. We will give a rectangle, then it has to recognize as a given a circle has to be recognized as a circle. So this kind of a huge artificial neural network, neural model is being built. Now let's go ahead quickly. So once you train this, it should recognize such things. See, unseen data, just like the kid has recognized unseen best. This model has to recognize all the unseen things. So this was the state of affairs, say around up to 2017. Up to around 2017, people were building this kind of systems. So a lot of things were being built. Say you could give some picture. It will say that this is some kind of a dog, or some 90% looks like cat, etc. This was the state of things up to 17, when some of the people suddenly started working on this generative thing, the second thing. See, second generative thing. See, they all the previous things that I was mentioning is for recognizing people, recognizing things like that. Then around 2017, people started with something called generative models. The generative models are just like, say you have seen, you are using ChatGPT or Gemini, most of people. So they generate things. So let's look at what exactly these generative models are. So they're sometimes called large language models also. They are sometimes called large language models also. So they are also, see, neural networks which are used to predict something. So I will tell you what exactly they do. So I have been talking for some 20 minutes now. I have been talking for some 20 minutes now, and I have built up a story. I have built up a story for 20 minutes. Now I need to speak the next part of the story, or next part of the story. Some words I have to speak. I have to speak after next. So my thing is being built like that. I speak for some time. Next thing. I will add all these things and build the next thing. Just like that, my speech is going on. Now, see, these large language models or things like ChatGPT, they are trained in such a way that given a sentence, part of a sentence like this, the sky is, some part of the sentence, they are trained to predict what is coming next. What is the next possible way? So, given this, see, the sky is, the most possible words are say blue, clear, cloudy. See, these are the most possible, probable weights that can happen in next to this. So the computer will make an intelligent decision. See, it will look at all the text that it has seen and say that more than 60% of the text say that is blue. So it will say that the sky is blue, given this sentence. Now, again, the sky is blue is given back here. And it will ask next prediction. Just like I am speaking. I will be speaking for some time. Depending on that context, I will speak the next, it generates. If you carefully look at ChatGPT, this you can observe. It writes one way, then it again writes the next way. It's slowly building. So there is a problem there. There's a problem is that, see, there is a probabilistic element here. There's a probabilistic element, so that, see, blue has only 60% chance. It could have been something else. So since we have chosen blue, what will be the next thing? Depending on that, the next will be. So that's why the large language models are things like ChatGPT has an element of doubt inside that. So never believe it as a true thing. So there is some element of uncertainty. It can hallucinate. It can think unimaginable ways. So this is the kind of large language model that people built around 2017. And initially they were very small. See, the results were very small, and recently they have grown up into huge things like huge parameter. See, earlier the number of training data was very small. Now I think around this ChatGPT 3 or 3.5, they are trained on some 57 trillion data, terabytes, 57 terabytes of data with lots of parameters, lots of things. So they are slowly becoming better. So this is the state of the things that we have in terms of large language models. Now, I will quickly conclude with a few more things. Another interesting thing that has happened is something called diffusion. So many people have started generating on your phone. Say, generate the picture of something, generate the picture of a dog running or somebody. You see, all your Facebook feeds are full of such things. So how do they work? So they also work on this kind of large language model mechanisms. So they are also very easy to understand in a conceptual way. They have a lot of mathematics inside, but it's very easy to understand these things. Now, so to understand how they generate pictures and all, so let's look at the picture on the left. That's a butterfly. You know the middle portion? See, it's called noise. So not everybody is familiar with noise, no? Right? Every day you speak about it. So this is a noise signal. See, if you add that noise signal, just like when you talk on radio, the noise comes in and distorts our signal. Just like that, if you add this particular noise to that signal, this noisy signal will come, right? That's right. This we are experiencing every day. Now, if I'm continuously adding different kinds of noise, and etc. So this will become finally undistinguishable from noise. Noise is തിരിച്ചറിയാം. So, if you can reverse this sequence, see, now let us look at the first thing. We have a noisy signal, maybe picture. We have noisy picture. We know the noise. We know this is the noise. So all our noise reduction estimation kind of things are working like this. We know the noise. What will happen? They will subtract this and you will get back. Now, the idea of picture generation is like this. You have some noise, just random. I started off with some picture background inside, but given this entire noise, there's nothing but noise. Somebody is asking you to generate a butterfly. So in order to generate a butterfly, you have to subtract a series of noises from that original given noise until you recover this. So if you can estimate these noises, which have to be subtracted slowly, one by one, one by one. So you can create any picture. So you can create any signal also. This is the idea of creating, cloning your voice, cloning your picture, everything. It's like that. From noise, from this noise, given this random noise, if you can successively remove things. So I can reach at his picture, her picture, or somebody else's picture. They are all basically from noise, something was removed. So these models or these AI models try to find out what are the noises that are to be removed. So this is also a huge thing. It requires a lot of computational power. It's not easy, but still now we are getting close to it. So this idea is very important for us for ham radio operators also. I'll come to that. So now people are building like this. We will give a signal, a stunning portrait of a black-haired Indian woman. Think like Aishwarya Rai, looks like this much, this much. If you say that, it will produce something like this. So the sequence is that it took some noise. Depending on this description, it removed something from the noise until it became this one. So that kind of noise that was being removed, it changed for different pictures. That's why you are getting slightly different things. Now this is the state of things that was until last year. Last year, what happened was that people started something called agentic AI. Agentic AI means that if you see, we are all operators. We call CQ. The other side, somebody responds. If the other side, if you can replace it with a computer, who can respond properly, so what will happen? You will not know. Just like that, this kind of agentic things are coming up. So we can deploy AI systems to specific tasks, to specific agencies, to do certain things. So they will do a specific. Typically, this kind of things are coming up, so that people are delegating their specific work to agents. So agent is somebody who represents us. So this agent is an AI system which will do specific tasks for us. So such things are being developed. So we have a lot of progresses in natural language processing, vision, etc. has happened. And this is going to explode tremendously, affecting many things. So some of the things, okay, let's see. See, one of some of the issues that can happen, that need to do training algorithm, training such systems is that you need tons and tons of data to train. It's not easy to build such systems from scratch, or it's not right coding. We use that, you remember that training between cats and dogs on a sheet of paper. You put one data, you will get something different things. So for that, there are two issues right now. One is the requirement of data. We need hundreds and hundreds of data for training this kind of systems. Secondly, you need highly parallel computers, highly parallelizable computing GPUs. These two are the current things that we need. This is why NVIDIA stocks have shooted up, say 100 times or so. The data requirement, this amount of data required to train, people are collecting from internet. I am very sure that many of you have installed an app, something like how do I look 100 years later, or 10, when you are 50, how do you look there? When you are 90, how you look like that? You remember you uploaded your photo, I am very sure. And it will give you something. What they were doing is that they were collecting data. They were collecting everything from you. So all these free sites, free internet sites, everything, they are collecting data and training their systems. Now Google and all, they will give you very suggestive things. See, I asked in the morning, ChatGPT, I want to design Andhra. It even remember my call sign. Last time I had put some call sign there, so this is Andhra. Remember that, so such things it can very easily do. So data, people are collecting a lot of things. Now, how all this going to happen? What happens? This is our thing, no? What we can going to expect next? One is this, that you can forget noise. Given a very weak signal, So we will show that the signal report is very flat. So in the AI system, there are now efforts to train AI systems such that to learn all kinds of noises that are available, and it will automatically find out. AI systems will find out what kind of noise is there, and in future, I think everybody will get 592 dB kind of thing. So everything, even a very small thing, you can reconstruct also. So its time is up. So no. So I thought time. So this is going to happen. So you can now, even now, there are certain effects like NR4 algorithms. See, there are some of you are tinkering with things like your SDRs. There are some things like desk HPSDR. You can look for that desk HPSDR, which you can tinker and put in NR4, NR3. I think some of the rigs that government sold also these kind of algorithms built in. So you can try out that. You can set noise parameters, etc. You will get very good things. So I mean, personally, I have a Raspberry. I experiment with a lot with all these noise things, and you can try out all those things. So noise is something which you can forget about in future. Probably your voice will learn your voice. If somebody is giving me a report, say this will remember that this guy is giving, and it will enhance the speech also, so that the correct tone will come. Similarly, you forget all your logbooks. There's no need of logbooks in future. See, as I mean, now some of you have seen the Zoom meetings and all. They will automatically transcribe and do all the things. Now, I think the next generation rigs will have this built-in, so that you make a contact, you make a thing, all your logs will be uploaded to that automatically, who gave what report and all. So that's going to happen. People are working on it. So you can think of that also as an interesting application where AI will come into that. Similarly, there is going to be agentic rigs. So you need not be there. So to give report, you need not be there to give all these things. So when somebody calls you, CQ, XYZ, the XYZ rig will receive it and will say that, hey, I got you 5 plus 20 dB like that. Because it's already there. It's already, but it's in CW kind of thing, no? Only JT, but voice is going to come. It will synthesize your voice. This voice kind of a cloning kind of thing. It will train your voice and give you all the things. You will just what is the weather, then he will give a weather report from the local other agent. You will give it the weather. So this kind of things is going to happen. And maybe next generation ham rigs will be very interesting things with different kinds of agents built in. I think I will conclude it with a little bit of caution also. See, a lot of people are using AI in different things. So since I do work on machine vision and all, there is an element of hype in it. So to any technology that came up, maybe in the past 50 years or so, or maybe across from the beginning of science and technology, people will say, okay, we'll say this is so good, so it's a kind of panacea or what is called snake oil for everything. So now expectations are very high. People are expecting so a lot of things going to happen with AI and all. But I think at some point it will fall down. So people will find out that old-fashioned things are better or they perform like that. So then we'll go down, but later on it will stabilize and it will be a standard feature. See, this happened when SDR came up. So many of the old-timers were not, we were very excited, SDR is going very soon, okay? Now, old-timers were saying that, what is this, like that. Now I think SDR is a standard feature on the rig. So 10 years, 20 years later, this kind of AI things will be built into your rig. And it will be a much stabilized technology. A lot of things will be there. Okay, so I think I will call it a day. So I think I took more than 10 minutes extra from your time. We do actually work a lot on this kind of systems like edge AI systems at my office and my office. I actually work with the Kerala government organization, IC Force at Trivandrum. We are into a lot of things like climate and climate monitoring, weather kind of satellites, tracking, etc. We have a lot of prototypes getting developed there. So some of you can look at our website if you are interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, OM Sunam, for giving a brief and knowledge about AI for HAMS. Now I request Dr. Srijan sir, please come to us. Now I request Mr. Mani ISR, please come. Thank you, Dr. Srijan. Now it's time for entertainment. I invite Manoj. Mr. Manoj.
സർക്കിളിൻ്റെ നമ്പറിൽ അതോ മറ്റേ ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിലൂടെ തന്നെ ഇടാം ഞാൻ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഇടല്ലോ ഡെലിഗേറ്റ്സ് ഗ്രൂപ്പിലോട്ട്.
You can hear some songs. We'll start with a Hindi song.
Hello.
Sure.
ഹലോ. ഞാനും എനിക്ക് ചെറിയൊരു പണി കിട്ടി ഇവിടുന്ന്. ഞാൻ 2 മിനിറ്റ് അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു സാധനം ഏൽപ്പിച്ച എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ. ഇവിടെ ഒരു ഗാനമേള. ഞാനിപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്ന 2 മിനിറ്റ് അതിൻ്റെ വരാൻ പറ്റും.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. My handle is Naushad from Koilan. All are requested to subscribe my channel, Travel Tech Mania. You can see today's video in that channel. Thank you.
ഹലോ ഹലോ ഞാൻ വിളിക്കാം. ഏത് ആയിക്കോട്ടെ ആയിക്കോട്ടെ ഓക്കെ വേണ്ട സാധനം വാങ്ങി ഫാൻസിന് നല്ല ഹാൻഡി ഉണ്ടോ നോക്കട്ടെ എന്തെങ്കിലും വാങ്ങി പുതിയ മറ്റേ ഓക്കെ അതാ പറഞ്ഞ അതേ കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ളൂ നോക്കട്ടെ വേറെ നല്ല ഫാൻസ് അങ്ങനത്തെ വാങ്ങാം ആ ശരി
Thank you, thank you.
കേട്ടോ.
professional singer. So got some interest when I heard other friends singing. I thought, why not entertain you all? It's going to be a Tamil number. It is from Tamil movie, Kamala Hassan movie, Moonram Pire. The singer is great, Dr. S. Das. So it's a solo male. So let me try my best. I have not practiced, so you are ready to sing.
Great.
മനോജ് എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത പടത്തിൽ
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
एक आसामी सॉन्ग है रुदाली दिल हुम करे घबराए
Next details in the world.
Good evening, all. We the GFV Shanawaz from Calcutta. Okay.
മലയാള സോങ്ങാണ്, വളരെ പഴയതാണ്. അതേ ശബ്ദത്തിൽ പാടാൻ ശ്രമിക്കാം. താങ്ക് യു.
8 of 10.
Close to original voice. Close to
DTX.
Anojay booked on.
Right side, right side. Yes.
Hello? There is a bike parked near the entrance. Bike number is TN39CX7681. I believe it is Tamil Nadu. யாராவது பைக்கு வெளியே நிறுத்திருக்கு அது TN39CX7681 அந்த பைக் வந்து மாட்டினா நல்லாயிருக்கும். In short while now we will be starting the next program, Kalaripaitu. Because of the space constraint, we are planning to do it outside. So once if it's ready, we will call you all. So please be inside the hall, okay? And regarding your dinner, we have arranged dinner. It starts at 7:30 to 9 o'clock. The same venue, so please enjoy. Please wait. We'll inform you once the Kalaripaitu is ready. Thank you.
കുട്ടി സ്റ്റേജിലെത്തി ഇപ്പൊ കളരി നടക്കും
Chip, chip, chip.